What's up, Chiefs Kingdom? You're on another episode of Chiefs Focus First and 10 Live. JP, Caleb, and Quentin, what's up, guys?
Doing pretty good. Weather's a little calmer here compared to where other people are at. Quentin, you doing okay up there?
Yeah, got some nasty hail about 15 minutes. I was worried it was going to bleed over into the show because it was loud. It sounded like my roommates were banging pans, and it stopped. So I think the rain stopped too. We're in that awkward transition period of like spring and summer. So we've got some of those nasty thunderstorms. But yeah, dude, it was loud.
Whew. Well, they say April showers bring May flowers, so hopefully these showers come and go very quickly.
Well, you guys have got, what was it, like 80? Somebody said it was 80-something degrees there today?
It's pretty nice.
Yeah, it was like 82, I think, up here.
Mm-hmm. Well, you both can suck it. It was 52 today here, and it's normally the average temperature around this time is between 78 and 81.
Ooh.
And that's normally like the entire month of March.
Okay.
We had one day at 76 degrees. Every other day has been 40 to 55. And wind blowing like mad. I mean, it's insane.
Well,
Weird weather.
We are going to – tomorrow's supposed to be 54, so we get basically a 30-degree dip. I was able to walk outside with no hoodie on this morning, so that was really nice. But tomorrow's going to be interesting. And we're supposed to get thunderstorms tonight. So we will see how everything goes with that. Hopefully everyone's out there and stays safe, please.
Well, it's supposed to be 94 here Saturday, so – that tells you how the weather. This is the weirdest year I've ever seen for weather. Honestly.
Goes up and down, yeah. Just like some of these teams out here that aren't the Chiefs.
We call that a transition in the business.
That's right. So let's talk about it. Little bit of D-Hop news, which we've talked about in the past. We knew this was going to happen. We brought this up before. We knew he was going to get cut if he wasn't traded. That was a given. They can't pay him. It is what it is. So it sounds like he's going to be cut. I don't think anybody's going to trade for him. Not with that contract and not with what they're asking for. So post June 1st cut. Maybe I don't know what that'll save him. I mean, I think it was like when I looked it up, I want to say their dead cap hit was somewhere around $19 million.
Ooh.
18, 19 million in that range. So that's a kick in the teeth, no matter how you look at it. That's really kicking that's kicking a dog when he's down, and that's exactly what they're doing. So, but they put themselves in that position.
Exactly. They have.
You pay yourself somebody, or you pay somebody that much money and you backload it like that, and then you can't trade him. You got to do it. You got to pull the Veach. And when I say you pull the Veach, you look at the age of the player, you look at the distance of the contract, and you always have it out prior to them being at that age where nobody wants them.
Yep.
Because then they will take that contract over. So that old GM there.
Well, they fired that old guy. Well, he stepped away. Probably,
yeah,
I feel like it was
health issues. But
what we see now is this kind of culmination of all those different things. I mean, they're dealing with that. Someone in their front office is filing claims against the Cardinals and stuff they've done in the past. So they're dealing with a whirlwind. And we've already talked about this before. No one was going to trade for D-Hop with that type of money because he was not going to take a pay cut. He's just not going to. He thinks he deserves money. I think he deserves it. But again, it comes down to is it money or is it a ring? And the Chiefs probably want him, but here's the thing. They don't have all the money in the world. They only have so much. They have a budget and stuff they're supposed to do. If they can get him, great. But you can easily get a receiver in the draft and then possibly post June 1st and get him then if it happens. But probably what's going to come down to is a team like the Colts or another team out there who has a good amount of money. Maybe the Dolphins will mortgage their future and give it to him. That's how I feel personally. Quentin, what do you think?
So I think that, him being cut post June 1st, I think makes more sense. I'll get into the numbers here in a second, but just my opinion on this is that, I think DeAndre Hopkins is a better option for Kansas City than OBJ, right?
Okay.
I still don't trust the knee, the fact that you've had that many injuries in the past. I just don't trust your knee holding up, especially when you haven't played football in over a calendar year now, right? So I would much rather have Hopkins as the wide receiver solution if we're going out and we're signing or getting a current player, since we lost Juju Smith-Schuster. From the Cardinals' perspective, it does not make sense for you to make a move now. The Cardinals are in no rush in this. I don't think anything happens until after the draft. And if he gets traded, maybe he gets traded during draft night. But, with him being on the market as long as he has, I feel like that if a team was really going to make a move for him in that contract, they would already. We saw that, last year, obviously, Tyreek Hill and the Devontae Adams, right? They both got traded early in free agency. Okay, there was like week 2 of free agency when both of those guys got traded. So if a move was going to be made for a big name wide receiver, I feel like it would have happened already. For the Cardinals, if we're just looking at if he gets cut pre-June 1, right, it will have a just over $21 million in dead cap money, and they will save just under $9 million. If they cut him post June 1, they will have $10.5 million of dead cap money and will save $19.5 million.
They're going to go with the second option.
Exactly.
Yeah, they're going to have to, yeah.
There's no reason for them to rush this. This is not, I don't know if you can say they have all the leverage because obviously, they want to go their separate ways, but there's no reason to rush this when you can wait 2 months and you're talking about a significant difference in the amount of money that you're saving. And you can use that, whether you're going to use it down the road or getting somebody else signing your draft picks, whatever that you end up using it for. You're talking about $10 million. That's quite a bit of money. So I don't see this happening anytime soon. I'm kind of okay with that if Kansas City wants to bring in DeAndre Hopkins post June 1, right? He is a veteran receiver. I think that he can work into this offense, especially we're talking pre-training camp and all of that stuff. So there'll be plenty of time for him to work his way into this offense, but I don't see anything happening before June 1st.
I agree. It's going to be a weird situation with him, and we knew that was coming, but with that type of contract, you got to expect it. It just is what it is. That was, we've been in that situation. We know what it was like with Dorsey, and it's not fun. So the smarter move would be to, do a post June 1st cut, save yourself a little bit of cash, move forward. We knew this wasn't going to get rushed anyway. They really had no reason to rush it.
They just put out a high asking price, and they're just going to drop down from slowly but surely. But it's not going to happen until after the draft.
Well, and not only that, what's up, Thiz? We got Chiefs Live and Thiz on, Thiz. What's up, guys? I think they started off at a really high number. It was insane. It was on 2 first or something. Then they went down to, I think it was a first and a second, and then they went to 2 seconds. Then it was like, well, maybe we'll do some mid thirds for him. Look, nobody's going to do that. I'm sorry, but this is not the year for that market.
It's basically
just not.
2 day 3 picks. I forgot which player was traded, but there was a wide receiver that was traded for 2, basically day 2 or day 3 picks. I forgot if you guys know which wide receiver I'm talking about. The name.
I can't remember who it was right now.
But I know
I remember that trade.
It set the market. We know what players we traded for him. Yeah, DeAndre Hopkins is good.
Brandon Cooks.
Good, thank you,
Brandon Cooks. Yes.
I was sitting here. I was pondering it, but
that's okay. And what we see is it's good to have those guys, but what ultimately at the end of the day, if you just not going to spend all that money, it's not feasible. Use a drive so you can get and then move from there. You can easily put a guy on a practice squad if you need to in order to make a roster spot. So I'm not concerned. I think looking at the wide receiver class, it is a little weak this year, but there are some diamonds in the rough. Brett Veach love his guys that have good route running. Tank Dell's considered to be one of the best route running receivers in this draft. So look for the Chiefs maybe get someone like him. But, there's a lot of guys available, even though the wide receiver class isn't as quote-unquote loaded and there's not as much first-round talent as there was last year.
No, and I will say this. Everything that I have heard, Veach is definitely going to trade for a vet wide receiver. He's going to pick one up, whether it be in free agency or it be a trade. He's going to pick one up. I have no doubt of that. He's not going to go into the season with Travis Kelce and, 5 rookies, 6 rookies. It's just not going to happen. I did hear that Jody Fortson might have a different role, I guess, if you will, moving into this season. And when I say different, I mean more of a role.
Can you elaborate? Like tight end 2 or being co-tight end 1 with Kelsey?
I think it's going to be more of a co-tight end type of situation and also be put in wide receiver positions. So in different packages, you'll see him in a wide receiver,
So what happens if the Chiefs going to get that guy out of South Dakota State or get a tight end that's just as good? Do you think that they're just going to have him learn? Because I feel like if you can get a high-tier tight end in the draft, kind of throw him out there and see what you can do. I like
you can do that,
but you got to move him around, though. And I feel like that's kind of the one thing. Sorry, as a wide receiver and became a tight end hybrid player, you got to move him around in different areas to see kind of where he'll fit it. Because I like guys like Noah Gray. I like guys like Blake Bell. And those guys are good, quote-unquote, special teams guys. But you got to produce on the field. That's one thing we got to see them do in this class so far, wide receiver. I'm not worried because you guys got like Justin Ross. John Ross already there. But it's kind of like, I need to see it, though, too, because you're a little worried on what could possibly happen, even though there is some talent there.
Absolutely. Thiz said he wants to see him in a wide receiver position. You know what, Thiz? Look, man, we were high on this kid from day one. All 3 of us were at that time. And, with COVID and everything, nobody really got to see what he could do. And then he had an injury that kind of held him out a little bit. But I know Thiz remembers this. When we found out he was being converted to a hybrid player, more of a tight end / wide receiver versus the other way around, we thought it was a great idea, and it turned out to be a great idea. He is a red zone threat. He'll rip a ball out of anybody's hands. He's got phenomenal speed for somebody his size. He runs really good routes. And he's smart. So one thing that he has to do, and I think he's learning that as he's watched Kelsey, his determination and his competitiveness sometimes gets him in positions to where it does get him injured.
Okay.
He plays that wide receiver role almost too much. Where if you've ever noticed, like Kelsey, I love the way he plays the game because if he makes a catch over the middle or if it's down the sidelines, he picks up his yak, and then when he feels like he's getting taken down, he just goes down. He doesn't let somebody hurt him just basically hurt him, whether it be on purpose or not. He just doesn't do that. And that's something that not only, gives you longevity, but it keeps your team in contention every game. And that's something I think Jody's learning. He's young, he's strong, he's big. He's got an amazing leap. His hands are like glue. I don't think he's missed a pass, really, that I've seen. Maybe one. But he just has to learn that when he makes that catch, if he feels like he's going to get hit or if he feels like it's going to be a hard hit,
go down like JJ used to do.
Go down like JJ used to do. Get that sixth sense. There was not too many guys that did it like JJ, but I don't know. The guy had eyes in the back of his head. I used to tell him that all the time. When we were on the field, you got eyes in the back of your head. I don't know how you felt that, but he felt people coming. And that's something that I think Jody needs to pick up because he has a little bit of injury-prone issues. And that's something that when you do, you have to be able to overcome those and be, play smarter than the injuries. Play smarter in the game. That old saying, work smarter, not harder. That's something that really kind of plays into his, what's up, bro? We got Will, we got Corey, we got Will, we got Thiz, we got Chiefs Live, we got everybody on. What's up, guys? But I think that's just something that has to happen. Hey, we got to give a shout out to UConn. Does anybody want to do that? Why is it so silent? Why are you guys so quiet?
I was just letting you go.
I just wanted to spit it out real quick.
Shout out to UConn. They won the tournament.
I just wanted to say it because that coach, man, that coach is loved.
Yeah,
and there's something. Let me. The reason I say this, and this is kind of a transition to the Andy Reid situation, really quick. I'm only bringing this up for one reason. If you listen to his players talk about him, and you listen to other coaches on the team talk about him, he is the type of guy that will not work you to death. If he can get the same amount of productivity out of you in 90 minutes than he can in, 180, then he's going to let you go at 90 minutes and be done with it. He's that, that mentality of, the game is 99%, what is it, I guess? What is that saying, Quentin? It's 99%, not effort, but it'll come to me in a minute. But
90% mental, 10% physical?
No, there's an old saying where it was like, it'll come to me in a minute, but it makes perfect sense.
Is it 99% effort, 1% talent?
No, it's more the other way around. It's like 99% where you're putting so much into it and the pressure and beating them to death, and then the 1% is just more mental. And it goes true for what Andy does, because Andy plays that same role with the Chiefs. If he can get someone to go out there and not beat them to death to get the practice out of him or get the productivity out of him that he wants, that's what he'll do. He'll let him off early. And he'll go out, Andy can't go out there and show these guys how to play the game. But that coach does that. He will go out there and say, hey, let me show you how to do this. Let me go out there as a coach and play the position in practice for you to show you what I'm talking about. Andy so much can't do that, but he has assistants that do. And he explains it in a way that people and players understand it. And I think that's why that UConn coach is loved so much by his players, is because he has that mentality. And if you can get the productivity and the aspiration out of a player by not beating him to death and not working him so hard, why not do it? You're going to get the respect of your team. You're going to get the respect of the rest of the coaching staff, and you're going to win championships. And I think those are the three things that translate from what that UConn coach does to an Andy Reid style of coach. Because Andy Reid's a no-nonsense type of guy, but he will give you the time off. If you've done everything you're supposed to do and you've done it an hour early, hit the showers. Because you've done what I've asked you to do. We don't need to push you any further than that. The more you push people, the harder it gets on them. So I had to give a shout out to them, because that was a well-deserved win, in my opinion.
Well, what we see with Andy, and I'll let Quentin respond to this, he is more of a let's get in there, let's get the work, and we'll be done. If I'm going to reward you for good play, we win, you get Mondays off. He's always done that. What do we see? Andy's the ultimate player coach. If you cannot get along with Andy as your coach, I don't know why you can't get along with. Then you can't get along with anyone.
Yeah, you can't get along with your mom. I mean, yeah, you couldn't get along with your mom if you can't get along with Andy.
Andy's a player's coach, and because that, guys come to him, they flock to him, they want to be a part of the system that Andy has put together. As we see, all the different things he's been able to do, take two teams to Super Bowl. He's won 2 Super Bowls. I mean, he's only getting better and better, and if he continues to stay in this, it's going to be even more beneficial for him and his legacy. I don't think you can really put him above Belichick, because they're going to use Super Bowls as that measurement mark. But I say he's right under him due to all different things he's been able to do time after time after time.
Yeah, I would say that you're right. The Andy Reid's a player's coach. All of that is true. We see that. We see the way that guys will talk about Andy post their career, with very little exceptions. Even some of the guys that come out and talk bad about some of the other coaches, very rarely do you hear guys actually talk bad about Andy Reid. So I think that does play a factor, right? That guys just simply love to play for him and love to be around him, and that there is that positive. It's a positive locker room, and that does start with the coach, because you can look at what guys say about the Bill Belichick locker room. Yeah, for 20 years they were a winning franchise, but nobody was talking about how great that locker room was.
Yeah.
So, it's much easier to be in an organization like Kansas City than some of these other organizations. And I think that does play a part. And, I don't know if we'll ever hear people say this, but I'd have to believe at the very least that there are some guys that choose to come to Kansas City because of that. If it's a tie between organization X and Kansas City, well, why wouldn't you go to the one that looks like, damn, they're having a lot of fun. Let me go there.
Yeah. And winning too. That's a big thing.
Yeah. I mean, if you can win, have fun, and enjoy the people you're around like a brotherhood, I understand that there's a big money aspect with everything, and that's always, plays a huge part in everything. But look, money is one thing, but that old saying, if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. That is kind of like the culture that we have in Kansas City. Yeah, you may not have the, quote unquote, change the market contract, but you're going to get rings, you're going to enjoy what you do, and you're still going to be a damn millionaire. So, and you're going to get all the endorsements you ever need playing for a team like this. So that's just going to make up for whatever you may be losing from a team that's giving you a fake, I guess, overinflated contract, Tyreek Hill. Sorry, I don't know where that came from.
Bless you. It sounded like he sneezed there.
I did. It was a chew. But yeah, it was kind of a. I still look at what he did, and he said something about that on Twitter here recently about, well, they gave me $30 million a year. No, they didn't. They didn't give you $30 million a year, dude. No matter what you want to think, you're not getting $30 million a year. Sorry. I mean, when that third year rolls around, or fourth year, I promise you're going to lose 40% of that.
They're going to get a restructure or get cut after this season or the next. Absolutely. They're literally bringing a super team. I mean, hey, no fault of them, but what we're seeing with the Dolphins is that's not sustainable. They literally brought in Jalen Ramsey over in his contract. I don't know how this is going to work, but they're signing all these guys, and hopefully they can draft well and find the next Jalen Ramsey or the next Tyreek Hill. But what they say, they might be able to do stuff, but what they're looking at is this. They need a quarterback. You can get all those pieces together, but you need a quarterback. And it's shown us just Tua, in my opinion, personally, is just not it. If they get someone like a Lamar Jackson or someone else, if they get Lamar Jackson or even someone else that's comparable maybe with the weapons they have, they're going to be a lot better than what they were this last season. And they almost beat the Bills with, what's his name? Not Tristan Thompson. Skylar Thompson. Yep,
Skylar
quarterback
Thompson,
out of Kansas State. Yep, exactly. Local kid, Fort Osage. Got to see him play in high school. Very good. So they're literally one quarterback away. And I understand they're trying to build their team, but look, they need a quarterback. That's the number one thing.
And they know that, I think. I honestly believe they know that. I've talked to a couple of people. Now, there's a couple of, on our other show that we do with Fantasy Sports Corporation on tomorrow night, Wednesday nights. He's a big Miami fan. And he is a huge, huge Tua fan. Look, I was a Tua fan. We all were. We thought he was going to be able to. Well, maybe not.
No, throw me into that bucket.
I wasn't.
Well, I thought he would be able to do it. I had high hopes for the kid. I thought that maybe he could come out and really play the game, maybe at a higher level than what he's played it. Now, granted, he had the best year after 3 concussions that he's had since he's been in the league with every weapon they wrapped around him. I don't see him lasting 5 games. I don't see it. Now, if he does, hey, more power to him. But unless they really bolster that offensive line and keep him completely protected and come up with packages to where he can release the ball quickly, he's going to get hurt. It just is what it is. And he's already hurt. He's hurt. So I just don't know if it's such a great idea for them to bring him back. But also I understand the reasons why. When it comes to money and when it comes to somewhat of a loyalty situation, when it comes to which Stephen Ross has no loyalty to anybody, but I think their head coach does. So this might just be almost like a means to an end for them when it comes to him, because they don't have the money to go out and sign a Lamar. They'd have to restructure 5 of their players, and Stephen Ross would have to cut a side check. Because they spent everything they had to build the team that they've got.
Really form them Avengers. But at what cost? You can form the quote-unquote Avengers, but will they help you win?
Exactly.
Very rarely has we seen this happen.
Exactly. We watched the Rams do it. How many times have the Rams built up a super team and fell apart?
We see that causes them to they on highs and then lows.
Every
highs and
time.
those peaks and valleys. I mean, if I was a Rams fan, I guess I'd be happy. Hey, they won the Super Bowl. But literally, it was a perfect storm that allowed them to get that point. Otherwise, I don't think they would have been able to win. Now, hey, hats off to them. They really get the players and pieces around them. But that's due to drafting and then bring in guys like a Von Miller, putting him next to Aaron Donald, and things like that.
When you can spend that kind of money, when you put all your eggs in one basket for 1 year and you've got a decent coach, you're going to get to that. But what happens every time they get to the Super Bowl? We've seen it with the Rams every time. They get to the Super Bowl, the next year they don't make the playoffs. They lose all their players.
Or they have one good season and then drop.
Correct. So it's I think the way that teams are trying to do it now is the Veach way. It's no longer the Patriot way. It's really not. It's the Brett Veach way, because he's the only guy that can bring in players that he's brought in, win Super Bowls, and still sustain every year in and year out. And if you can do that, there's nothing stopping you. You got a window that doesn't close. It's a wide open window all the time. We'll see what happens. There's teams out there that are really trying right now to build their rosters, and you got a lot of guys on the trade block. There's going to be a ton more that are going to be on the streets here really quick. When the draft hits, you're going to see guys hitting the streets. The third phase, you're always got a group of guys that are on the streets looking for homes. So I think everybody right now is just trying to find their best option to beat Kansas City, to be the team.
3 more phases of free agency. You're going to have your guys that are cut post June 1. You're going to have your guys that are cut right at the beginning of training camp. And then you're going to have your guys that are cut down from your 93 to a 53-man roster right before the start of the first week.
Correct.
Those are your last 3 chances of free agency. Right now, all the teams are working on their draft boards. And so you're not going to get a ton of information comes out. Players aren't going to sign big contracts. You're not going to get any re-signings, nothing like that. You're just going to get, small stuff. Someone will sign a kicker. Someone will sign a 4th corner, 5th corner. We just signed – Kansas City signed their 4th safety over the weekend, right?
Love it.
That kind of stuff will happen. But you're not going to see any big news until post-June 1 when guys get cut for cap reasons. So I do have a question for you guys.
Maybe we can answer it.
So there has been pictures on Instagram and Twitter, and this is actually happening, so this isn't fake. But Tom Bali is working with George Karlaftis.
Yes.
So let's just you guys talk about that. Let me know what your thoughts are on that, and more specifically, what do you think Tamba can teach him that could really benefit George Karlaftis' game?
Oh. Caleb, you want me to go first on that one?
Go ahead, JP. I'll let you. You're botting at the bit. Go ahead.
Look, man, if he's going to teach him anything, it's going to be technique.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you right now, Tamba he was probably the second coming of Derek Thomas when it came to arm technique. And that's hard for me to say because I'm very biased with Derek, and I will never put people in his category. But Tamba's technique was unbelievable. He may not have been the most athletic like everybody says, but his technique was phenomenal. And that's something that you have to have. I'm just telling you, that position you have to have phenomenal technique. And I think that's more than anything, that's what he's gonna teach you. How about you, Caleb?
I agree with you as well, but also just kind of showing him how to be a leader and showing him what to do during the regular season. Probably explain to him some of the situations he dealt with, the injuries he had, and how to. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. What we're seeing here is he's going to teach him a lot of different things, not just technique, but also show him how to be a player on the field and off the field. We're going to see a lot of things happen in Thomas' career. He did a lot of different things. Specifically, he had some injuries, and I would not be surprised if Tamba is doing things that is telling him, okay, this is how I got this injury. This is how you can avoid this thing. Here are the stretchers. Here are things that are given to you. Take advantage. You probably have a better defense line coach than I ever had, so listen to your coaches. So basically telling him to look to people like Ataba Ali. Use that in your coaching staff. Look into your room with all your guys, and basically try to figure out what can help you move to the next level. Because George Karlaftis, telling you guys, came out of Purdue. Not many people were talking about players from Purdue, and he did a lot of great things. So not only technique, but showing him the ropes from a veteran perspective, someone who's been the career, who's done it for 10 years, and showing him, okay, these are different things you can do. Here are situations that you were afforded that I did not have. And I think that's one thing Tom is trying to show, because when he's working with him, he's also teaching life lessons. He's probably told him a bunch of things. He's probably told him things such as, there was a time against the Chargers I did this move and it worked, but then I tried again to do this because of this, this, and this. I mean, he went against some tough offensive lines. So Tamba has something to give to him, and I think that's what he has.
I agree. We watched Tamba give Joey Bosa lessons on the sidelines. We watched him give a lot of players lessons on the sidelines. So when you're helping an opposing AFC West rival player at the end of a game, they want to learn from you. Mm-hmm. They see what you've got. So,
yeah, I mean, I would say you could really make the argument that Tamba's the second best pass rusher in Kansas City Chiefs history. When Tamba got here, he was the only guy. It was Jared Allen had left before he got there. So he was it. There wasn't anybody to really teach him. There were no other players to teach him. George Karlaftis has benefited from Frank Clark teaching him how to do stuff. Chris Jones teaching him how to do stuff. Now Tamba stepping in, and all of his coaches. So, And we've praised the coaching staff and how well they've been. I think you're both right, obviously. The how to be a professional and how to take care of your body and those sort of things. Being at a defensive end position, I mean, you're having car crashes every single down, right? You're running into dudes every single down. So I think that's important. But I think what made Tamba so effective is not just his move, but the amount of moves that he had, right? Exactly. Every down, it seemed like he had something different to show you. Mm-hmm. And so an offensive lineman never got that ability to say, well, if I can just lock down this, if I can knock down his hands with one move, I know that I'm going to eliminate him. That didn't happen with a guy like Tamba. So I think just the ability to create a diverse amount of moves, because, one of the things that I don't want people to forget is that George Karlaftis didn't start playing football until he was halfway through high school. Yeah. And that's the same with Tamba, right?
Yeah.
So, I think there's that sort of that relationship that they understand, and that's such a rare thing for two guys to be able to bond over that. I think that is something that's really going to benefit Karlaftis, is simply knowing that there's more things to football than what he knows now. Mm-hmm. And so just being able to learn more than one thing throughout this entire offseason, because that was one of my criticisms of George Karlaftis. And it was simply when you were able to get past guys, you were taking these really weird over-the-top routes and not able to get to the quarterback.
He's outrunning the quarterback. He's outrunning the play.
Yeah, and he was able to help that over the year. But I just think having a full offseason, the experience of being a rookie, learning from that, talking to Tamba, just getting that knowledge bank and to be able to learn a diverse move set will benefit him. I mean, just that's going to be the thing that I think is going to help him, because I think that's what's holding him back. And to be able to learn from three different players, two that were on your team and one of the best in Chiefs history, I mean, that information is so valuable.
Oh, easily. And that's one thing when you see that happen, it's the generational, not wealth, but the generational knowledge with all these different guys. Having Tamba, having our defensive line coach has taken down Brady 2 different times in the Super Bowl, has won against other great quarterbacks, can help them along the way. I mean, I'm looking at the draft right now, and there are some players with a Karlaftis comp that are projected to drop into like the 3rd round, that are from those Big Ten schools no one's talking about, are from the MAC schools. So if the Chiefs can do that with Karlaftis and see what he started from the beginning of the season to what we see now, just imagine we could do it another guy like that, or 2 guys that have that same motor and that same drive. So I think really at the end of the day, the Chiefs got to keep this coaching staff together. They have to, because that's how you win championships. Absolutely. Promote with them within and get everyone on the same page. If you do not do that, trouble is going to arise. You have to make sure you have people ready to go and can teach that generational talent and technique. You just got to. Because if you don't have that, you're going to be terrible. I mean, I remember as a kid, and Quentin, you probably remember this, the seasons when the Chiefs were terrible. There was one season they got 13 sacks in the season. For everyone, all intents and purposes, that is terrible as a team to get 13 sacks in the season. That was considered one of the worst defensive performances in a season all time. I think it's top 5. So we see where we were and where we are now. They just got to keep it going. I have no doubt they'll be able to even upgrade on that.
Corey said for every move DT had, he had 5 counter moves. He absolutely did. And I know I talk about this a lot, but I was there, so I got to watch it firsthand. He was a big proponent of – he mixed a lot of the martial arts in with his game. He watched a lot of martial arts. Bruce Lee. Hate Bruce Lee to this day because of it, but that played a huge part in Derek's game because he would, as he grew as a player, he would know that I could make these 3 moves. You know, I could take a swim move and mix it with 2 other moves at the exact same time and get past somebody within a second. And timing was everything as well. You know, you got to have your timing down. You got, I watched Derek one time. Well, it was a 7-sack game. He would have had really 9. One of them was taken away. One of them he overran it. And when he overran it, he was really pissed off because he never overran the play. And that time he actually did. He tried really hard to get back, and he was real close. I mean, within probably a tenth of a second of making that sack. But it pissed him off that he missed that he overran that play. So timing is a huge thing. And I think that's something that Tamba had. Tamba was very good with timing. He knew not to overshoot the runs. And I think that's just something that he's learning. The one thing, hey, you know what? And we didn't talk about this, but honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Tom is out there trying to teach him how to sing. Has anybody heard this man sing? Here, let me get
it.
We have one of his songs as our old intros.
Yeah. There you go.
Go to the beat, master. So tell her go faster. Girl, I want faster.
Look at this guy.
I like this song.
I love this song.
Every day. In the money, now they think of it.
What's the song called?
Every Day.
Every Day. I think I have it on my iPhone. It's good.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. When we had Tom on the show, I asked him, I said, hey, man, can I use your music? He goes, yeah.
We need to get him on again. I said, we need to get him on again.
Oh, we will. Yeah. He was so gracious about it. But, I said, can I, I downloaded one of your songs. It was your new one. And I love it. And he goes, use any song you want. He's just cool like that. His music's phenomenal. He's a great guy in general, but he was a great football player. And I think that's just something that you can't teach. You can teach it, but you have to be one of those guys that just inherently has it before you can teach it.
But thing is you have to be a patient teacher. I can tell someone to go throw something up on the shelf, but it's how you tell them to do it.
Oh, I'll smack
how you
Brad.
break it down the detail. No.
I'm going to smack Brad now. Brad is going to get
what did
smacked.
Brad do?
Look at he said that's auto-tune. Come on. Brad.
What's the song?
Brad.
Hold Brad's opinion to the same level as everybody else.
Hey, you know what? I want to hear you come on this show and sing, Brad. I want to hear you do it with auto-tune.
I got to be absent for that. Whatever that day is, I'm sick.
Wow.
I don't know what day that
Yes,
is.
this might have to be the off the air. That might have to be an off the air thing.
Unbelievable he said that. No, Tom is really good. Brad. Anyway.
Why do you have a...
Huh?
Okay, he seems confident. All right, Brad. Maybe I won't be sick that day.
Okay, Brad. Well, maybe we have to pop you on one of these days.
All right.
Maybe
you know what? I will send you an invite right now. You come on and sing a song.
How about when we have our meeting? We could get him on there. We could sing.
That's the deal. Period. End of story. We're going to have a meeting and we're going to record it.
Oh man, I do have a question.
Look,
for
he
you
says
guys.
without auto-tune, I only kid.
Brad. Quick
We gotta
question
love
for you
Brad.
guys. Looking at the Chiefs cornerback room, are we concerned? Do you think they're going to even try to upgrade the position anymore? What are your guys' thoughts? Because I feel like the cornerback room, from what they started off and what they ended, there were some issues along the way. Several times burnt assignments happened, burnt coverages, but we see they were able to fix some of those problems. Do you think the Chiefs' defense as a whole, not just cornerback room, but I'm going to say as a whole, we saw last year they didn't really start off as slow. They gelled together really quickly. Do you think the team is going to gel together quicker than ever before? Or do you think they're still going to have that slump? Not half the season, but maybe 2 to 3 weeks.
I want to take this first.
Go ahead. Take it away.
I don't think so. One, I think that you know who your day one starters are going this offseason. We didn't know that heading into the offseason last year, right? Tarvarius Ward left. Snead had never really been used as a dominant outside corner, right? He was used more as that slot corner. I think we saw him more as an outside corner this year, even though he's still, more of that slot corner. But before they drafted McDuffie, we didn't know who our number one corner was going to be. So I think you have to be more confident in who the cornerback is, the starting number one cornerback is, just because of what we saw. We also know that Watson is able to hold his own, right? So I think you have to be more confident in it. The Chiefs are going to add more to this room. There's going to be a lot of day 3 picks. I wouldn't be surprised. They have 10, 11 picks, so you're going to throw a couple of guys at the wall just to see what sticks. The Chiefs will probably spend 2 day 3 picks drafting the corner position just because you need volume there. First of all, you just need guys. Right now on the roster, on the actual Chiefs roster, there are 3 guys listed at corners with Snead, Watson, and McDuffie. They do have some guys just listed as DBs. So there is some mix over there. Like Joshua Williams is listed as a DB. Yeah. So, even though we know he's a, corner, but I think you just have to be more confident in it. And, they're going to throw volume at that position. So I'm not worried about it.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, look, those guys, they gelled quickly last year, which was pretty phenomenal for having the amount of rookies that we had. And then they had their little bit of a slump. It wasn't a huge slump, but it was a little slump. But then they practiced at it and they worked at it and they got it done. I mean, you look at some of the things that Watson did. Watson shut down some of the best wide receivers in the league.
And he's a 7th-round pick.
Exactly. So I don't think that I'm not – there's no confidence loss in what we have. I think we're probably just going to grow in that area, especially with the players that we have. I do agree that we're going to bring somebody in. This says he wouldn't mind having a first-round corner. That actually is not out of the question. I still think that Veach is going to go offensive, defensive line in the first round.
I say defensive line.
Yeah. Well, after that, DeJuan Jones in the first round, which may happen. Just, hey, man, as much as I don't like to use this, you heard it here first. He might just he might go after that kid in the first round.
Well,
if he's in the first round.
A team that wants him is the Bengals. So it'd be fun if the Chiefs just dump him from the Bengals. How the Chiefs mess the Bills season, mess up the Bengals season like they had. So that'd be nice.
Before I move out of Vegas, I will run down the street naked on the strip. I don't care what the temperature is. If they do that to the Bengals like they did the Bills, that will be one of the best days I've had in a while. Well, because I feel like they deserve to be burnt.
I mean, we just see Veach has been very intricate on where to jump up for other teams. Jumped in front of the Saints. That's how I got Patrick Mahomes. Jumped for the other guys, got McCall Hardman. Same thing has happened when it comes to primarily what we saw last year with McDuffie. The Bills wanted, and they had to stick with Killer Elam, and there was rumors he got benched halfway through the season. So I don't know. But do you guys think the defense as a whole, though, not just corner, but as a whole, do you think they'll be able to start off strong and not have that gap of just struggling?
Right. Okay, I'll take this one really quick because we know how Spags' defenses normally take off prior to this past season.
Yeah, last year I thought it was an anomaly.
Exactly. I feel like with the addition of Joe Cullen, that and the fact that we have a new, a better cornerbacks coach, I feel like that is going to be a jumping point. I feel like we're going to start off strong. we're not, and I'm not going to say we're going to start off top 5. I'm going to say we're going to start off a lot stronger than we ever did prior to having Joe Cullen. Look, if you can take a bunch of rookies and turn them into what you turned them into this past season, including a rookie on the defensive line. And I know Cullen is a defensive line coach, but we got rid of a problem child in Madison that was a problem. We all know that now. Well, we knew it, and then now everybody knows it. But it's just propelled our defensive coaching staff, and I think it's helped the players all the way around. And whoever you bring in, they teach them in a way that they can learn the NFL quickly. And I think that's going to be a huge jumping point. Brad said corners went from a weakness to a strength with depth now, and he's right. It really did. Yeah. I agree with that. We talked about it on one other show. We had 4 corners one season.
Yeah, Super Bowl season, the first one.
Super Bowl, the first one. We had 4 corners. And Veach wasn't a big corner guy. He was more into the safeties. He was a safety guy. He loved the safeties and didn't put that much value into corners.
More of those hybrid players.
Yeah, but he did realize that you do have to have true corners out there as well. Very, very solid corners that are relatively penalty-free. And they don't have to be ball hawks, but they have to be capable to stop a play when it needs to be stopped and keep people out of the end zone. And he's brought in the coaching staff to be able to do it and the players that are able to do it.
You need competent cheap players on the defense because you're going to spend a lot of money on the offense. So you need, especially in the defensive backfield, because you're going to spend a lot of money on that defensive line. Just because defensive line players are expensive. And where you're drafting, so you're not going to find a lot of top edge rushers in 28 to 32. You're just not. Obviously, I think this year and last year you can, because I think the COVID year has bled over. This will probably be the last year where you have a lot of these guys holding out an extra year because of the COVID 1-year extension. But other than that, I just think that you're not going to be able to find guys. Here's something that I learned today on terms of the offensive line, is that over the past 5 drafts, there has been 1 starting left tackle taken in the top 20 in the NFL draft. 1. So
crazy.
Yeah, you just can't find those guys later in the draft. So if Kansas City takes an offensive lineman in the first round, it's a right tackle. You're not picking a left tackle with.
Oh no,
so
you're not.
You're gonna have to, if that's what you want in the first round, you're going to have to trade up to get it.
Who is that player? What team are they on? Do you remember?
Juwan Jones.
No.
I don't remember the tackle.
Mm-hmm. That's right. You're right.
I just think that the more and more we talk about this draft, the more and more I'm sort of just thinking maybe the Chiefs do end up trading up. They've got some good ammo to trade up. They have some positions of need that, while are deep, don't have a lot of blue chip talent, right? There's not a lot of blue chip talent wide receivers. There's not a lot of blue chip talent in terms of these edge rushers, right? There's a lot of later guys that, are quality and you can go get, but outside of like top 10, I just don't think that there's a lot of like, man, this is the next Bosa brother, this is the next TJ Watt guy. There's not that in this draft. There's a lot of good guys. That's why I keep saying this is a deep edge offensive line and wide receiver guys, because there's a lot of them, but they're all just like, the wide receivers are all 5'9" and $180. Right?
There's no like the alpha, literally.
Yeah, there's no Justin Jefferson in this draft. The blue chip players in this draft just don't seem to exist where the Chiefs need to get it. But the Chiefs are going to get players at the position of need. Am I making sense here?
Oh, you're making 100% sense.
Absolutely.
It's deep, but the level of talent is plateaued off.
And I agree with you. Well, from the stuff I've looked at, primarily at wide receiver and defensive end, there is talent there. There may not be that first round guy that the Chiefs want, but there's a guy in the late second round, third or fourth round. I mean, I'm looking at 2 guys literally from the Big Ten whose teams in there have a great season who would be great additions to this team. Another guy from the SEC. I mean, there's several different guys, so you don't have to theoretically trade up. You can honestly, if you're going to do a big trade, you can have it to where you get some picks back later around, flip some stuff around, and then have it to where later on down the end you can pick up those guys. So there is a realistic possibility. And some of these guys draft stock has rose due to one thing and one thing only. It's not the combine; it's the Senior Bowl. Those guys who are hungry and have the opportunity to go there have been able to really raise their stock. So I'm very, very confident to say the Chiefs are going to get someone that's very similar to a Karlaftis. I believe so personally after what I've noticed and what I've seen in the draft.
I mean, you talk about the Pro Bowl. That's where I found DeJuan Jones.
Exactly.
I don't even remember who. I think I was looking at a pass rusher, and DeJuan Jones just stood out to me, and that's why I ended up looking at him more and writing about him. Was at that Senior Bowl. I mean, sometimes these guys just sort of stick out to you, and that's what DeJuan Jones did for me.
And the reason why, honestly, I think he wasn't as talked about much in the season because Ohio State is a pass-first offense. They're really wide receiver U. I'm sorry, LSU. I'm sorry, Alabama, but Ohio State is wide receiver U. And what we see is they're just dominating. But you have a guy like DeJuan Jones who is that strong, that powerful, can block two guys with one. Let's do this. I mean, the last player we see to do that was Creed Humphreys when he played against Missouri State. I know that's not high-level competition, but it just shows us that the ability to get those players are there.
I agree with you. Brad said, "Why are so many people down on Joshua Williams? He has all the tools, but he has a will to learn. He did have a good season. There was a couple of plays, specific plays, where he got burned. There was a couple of them that he got turned around. That's going to happen to a rookie. Okay, I mean, when you're playing against some top-tier players, that's going to happen here and there. But for the most part, he had a great season. I don't know his exact stats. We'd have to have Brandon on the show to know those. But he had a great season for a kid that honestly stepped into a role that a lot of guys just can't step into and play, as many downs as he played, as many snaps as he played. So I think that's just part of it. I really do. I think that's just part of it. I don't know about you guys, but that's just my opinion. What do you think?
Go ahead, Quentin.
I mean, look, I just think that your corners are going to get burned. Okay? That's going to happen, right? That we're in the NFL. I mean, even in the 90s, before a lot of these rule changes, corners got burned, but now corners are going to get burned more often. So just because a guy gives up a 60-yard touchdown pass, doesn't mean he's a bad corner.
Exactly.
And I think that that's something that is hard for people to digest. And you're going to have games where you're going to give up 120 yards to the number one wide receiver too. That just happens too. I mean, we just have to, as NFL fans, as analysts, as writers, you just have to accept that sometimes guys are going to have bad days. It's like pitchers in the MLB. You're going to go out there and you're going to give up 6, 7 runs, 8 runs in baseball because the guys that are across the field from you are also the best of the best. So you're going to go out there and your curveball is going to hang over the plate a couple of times. You're going to give up. You're going to give up a hanging curveball. In football, you're going to slip on the grass and you're going to give up a long touchdown, and that's going to drag your averages way up. So a guy can shut out a wide receiver for 3.5 quarters, give up one deep ball, and it blows everything out of proportion.
It really does.
Context matters in this.
It does.
I mean,
go ahead, Caleb.
No, I was going to say Snead there was one game he gave 2 touchdowns. He had a bad game. The Chiefs still won, but it's like, it's fine. We'll go back to the drawing board. The Chiefs won. It wasn't as detrimental. But knowing him, he came back out the next couple of weeks and played very well. It's all going to work out at the end of the day. One play, yes, defines a football game, but sometimes you have to look at everything that's happened around you. Yes, you can get mad at the corner for burning the route, but you can get mad at maybe the running back for not hustling the play, get mad at the quarterback for throwing the ball to wide receiver too far. I mean, it's a team game. But what we see is this, as Quentin said, stuff's going to get blown out of proportion, but in the end, it's eventually going to work out. It'll be fine.
Absolutely. Brad said, didn't the Vikings draft a great left tackle late in the first? I don't remember if they did or didn't. I can't remember at this point. I know they did have a great left tackle. He was really good, keeping Cousins protected, which is kind of hard to do. So, no offense. I mean, I'm not a big Cousins fan. Haven't been. I think it was one of the worst contracts I've seen in years. But regardless, they may have Brad. I don't know. I am going to do this for Brad because he's doing really well with these questions.
We need to be sponsored by Taco Bell. The number of times we do the Taco Bell thing at this point.
No Taco Bell's going to give me some free tacos. I'll pretty much do anything.
Hey,
and that
if they do that,
open invitation to Taco Bell.
Hey, if they do that, we're eating Taco Bell on the show as we're talking. I will do that.
That's right.
We should do that.
I will do that. I will definitely. And believe me, I love me a chalupa.
Get my Baja Blast. Get everything I need.
Baja Blast. Oh, God.
Okay,
man.
actually, real quick.
Put a little orange-flavored adult aged potato in there. It's delicious.
I did see one thing.
What did you say?
It's some liquid aged potatoes.
What is that?
Vodka?
Oh, vodka. Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah. It's a brand. You threw me off. I'm not a drinker, so that threw me off a little bit. I was thinking you were just going to put a drop of potato in a Baja Blast, and I was confused.
I did
see some orange liquid aged potato. That's a brand.
Is it a brand?
No, that's what vodka is. It's made from potatoes.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying then.
All I know is I've had to clean up a lot of vodka when people drop in the stores a long time ago, and it smelled. They would drop it like, "Oh, I dropped something."
You guys are no fun.
You know what's cool about vodka?
This, though. Go ahead, Cool JP.
I was just saying the cool thing about vodka is that I remember going out with the guys back in the day, and man, I could drink vodka all night long and not have a hangover the next day. That was the one thing about vodka that I never got a hangover with. Never had a headache. You really couldn't smell it as much as you could smell other, as long as it's a good one. Don't get me wrong. You can't get no crap and some house crap and expect it to be great. But if you had a good vodka, I never got a hangover from it. I don't know. Maybe that's weird, but I never did. I got a hangover from gin.
I have a method to not get a hangover, but that's
I know you told us your method, and I like the method.
It's 100%. It's 100% effective. But that's a story for like June 17th.
When we're really bored. I do kind of want to say one quick thing. Kind of telling how how everyone loves Baja Blast. Remember when it was at Taco Bell and it was just there? I kind of see that happening when that happened just there. That's Andy Reid with his playbook.
Oh, absolutely. Why?
Because I know, Quinn, you're giving me the stink eye. But here's the thing. He has plays no one else is using until it's too late when other teams start copying. And by then, Andy's already created a whole new scheme, a new system. And one thing I came to that realization is this, and bear with me. I was watching this one video, and this guy in the late early 2010s got how do I say this? He got like a cup, put a hose to it, and put it all the way through his arm and his back into a backpack. And he felt like those 5-gallon things of literally Baja Blast. And that just showed me the ingenuity he did there. And that reminded me, that's the type of ingenuity sometimes you need to have in your playbook.
Absolutely.
You need that pulse of energy where you need to have something that's going to work at one point, and then later down the line, you're going to have to alter and change. And what I see is when the Chiefs were always doing different plays. So one play we're going to specifically is the quarterback sneak with the tight end. Then we saw the jet sweep being kind of used a lot. And then we saw the shovel pass with the tight end. I mean, the Chiefs sometimes did those plays really to a detriment. It hurt them because teams knew they were doing that. But what we see over the years, specifically with Mahomes, is that they have not stuck with those plays. They have moved around to other ones that have been even better. The forward tight end set. I don't know what they call that now specifically, but there's a lot out there.
Okay, Brad just threw this up, and that's who it was. He's right. 7th round pick, and he turned out to be really good. Draft. I'm sorry. The 7th overall pick in the first round turned out to be a very good player. If I'm not mistaken, he's still with them. If I could be wrong,
I'm not 100%.
I know he's still in the league. I'm very confident
I'd have
about
to look
that.
and see where he's at. But here, that's for Brad because he got another one. And then, oh, wait a minute. This is for the typo. Okay.
That soundboard.
Yeah. So, anyway, we love the soundboard. The soundboard's great. We got more sounds coming. One thing that we were talking about corners. Brad said Jalen Ramsey gets burned, especially now. He did, look, there's no doubt he was one of the best in the league. God, he was good. But he is, over the last 3 seasons, he has been getting burned a lot. It's just part of the game. He's aging. People are learning how to play him. If you don't, kind of like how Andy does. Andy, he changes with the times. If you don't change up your game and practice new moves, practice new techniques, you're going to get burned. You're going to get exposed. And that's what's happened, I think, to Jalen Ramsey to a degree. He's been exposed. And what I think is upsetting about that whole situation with him right now is the fact that Tyreek Hill it's not really upsetting to me because I understand the backstory behind it. It's upsetting to a lot of fans because he wouldn't restructure for us, but he restructured for Miami. That was something else, by the way, you guys. He put out some weird ass tweet that he said he said, I don't know about you guys, I was gonna go to Cleveland.
Yeah, I'm gonna say this, and this is kind of my final thoughts.
I think he got hit in the head.
I like Tyreek Hill, but he's just talking. He's trying to promote the podcast. He's just talking to talk. That and nice he went to the Browns, but we all know good and well they did not have capital, did not have anything. So we understand at this point, and Quentin will probably agree with me, is this. Tyreek Hill loves to talk and likes to stay relevant. And he'll probably say something silly in a week or two. And when they draft someone he really likes, he'll probably be talking about how he loved that guy just as much as he loved Tua. So nothing's really changed in the wind with that. It's the same little thing over and over and over again with him.
I agree. So is it 4-1 Blue Jays in the top of the 9th?
Yes, sir.
All right, we'll throw out some Royals stuff really quick because for any fans that want to know, I know Quentin is biting, he's just chomping a bit right now with this whole, he's a baseball fanatic, and that's cool. I'm glad you are. He's going to have his article out fairly quick. What's this saying? Chiefs were never going to let Tyreek.
Huh? Chiefs were never going to let Tyreek.
I
probably do his own thing.
I feel like
probably had to cut it off a little bit. Oh, maybe go to Cleveland.
Or do his own thing in general.
Yeah, that could be it too.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you get cut off when you're typing these things, but we'll try to, I guess, analyze it a little bit. But I imagine it was probably going to Cleveland. Mm-hmm. I don't think Tyreek ever wanted to go to Cleveland. I think that was just him talking to talk. Now, he may have wanted to go there to maybe just try to get his numbers up. Who knows? Maybe he thought he was going to be the number one guy out there. Who knows what he thinks? But he wanted to go to Miami. It is what it is. Down close to home. Had a house there. Oh, do what he's doing now.
Oh, yeah. They were never going to let. I think it shows how well Andy Reid is able to keep things in-house. Just like when Antonio Brown left the Steelers and we saw how well Mike Tomlin is able to keep things in-house and keep things from leaking out or anything like that. So Andy Reid deserves a lot of credit for keeping a lot of stuff in-house. So because if things like that get out, it causes a lot of drama.
Yeah,
we saw what happened with a lot of the Tyrann Mathieu stuff when it got out. I mean, just the amount of drama that it creates because it becomes news, and that's all people are going to talk about, especially if this stuff comes out during the offseason when there's not a ton of news coming out. That's all that's going to be talked about.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And that's just the one thing we see. What did Brad say? Vikings drafted Christian Darrisaw with the 23rd overall pick in 2020. Okay, nice. So that's probably the left tackle.
He wanted me to look at one of his Christian. I don't know which one he's talking about that he wanted me to look at. I don't see any other ones, brother.
How about have him message it us and we can put up in the next show? We can do that as
Yeah.
well. So that's fine.
I don't see what he's talking about, but I'll go along with it.
You guys got any final thoughts or anything?
Any final thoughts? Any final thoughts at all?
Follow me on Twitter.
Well, follow him on Twitter. Everybody needs to follow Quentin on Twitter. He's putting out some awesome stuff, so make sure you do give him a follow. Hey, I will say this. We have a new, I'm not going to say who, but we have a new sponsor coming on. Should start within the next week. Awesome sponsor. Can't wait to get started. So it's going to be a good time. We must be doing something right. I will say that. We're also going to do Thursday. We're doing the 2021 draft. Is that correct, Quentin?
I think we should go back a year and we should do the 18 draft.
That is a good,
because I think there's a lot of content there, and we skipped that one because we did the 19 draft first. So I think we're going to go back and do the 18 draft before we
just first year
forward.
Okay, well, we'll do that. Oh yeah. By the way, everybody that's out there that's listening, our video is dropping on Friday, so make sure you have your notifications on Twitter. Chiefs Focus Live. It will blow you away. I will give you that. Make sure you got your notifications on when it drops. Have your tissues ready because you might tear up a little bit. It's just one of those things that will do that to you. But we do have that new sponsor coming on. It's going to be great for everybody. So make sure you're checking us out. Like and subscribe, please. Tell your friends to like and subscribe. Make sure you follow Brad Henson. Make sure you follow. He's got himself under Ulysses Betsy Jr. on here, but it's Thizmonger on Twitter. Make sure you give him a follow. He puts out some awesome NFL, all NFL takes, and also has a podcast on our network, the 100 Yard Dash, where he does all NFL, an all NFL podcast. We are also going to do a new concept show starting, not this week, but next week. Not next week, but the week after. We have a new concept show coming up. We want people to join in and check it out because it's going to be a lot of fun. With that being said, there's not a whole lot going on in the NFL, so it's a little hard. So that's why we're going to change this up a little bit, and we're going to go do some different things along with NFL talk. So we will talk to you guys again on Thursday. We appreciate everybody for joining, and make sure that you give everybody a follow and tell everybody to like and subscribe. That's all we request. We're not asking for a whole lot from you guys.
And it's free.
It's free.
FREE, that spells free.
Yeah. And honestly, think about it. There's not a whole lot that is free in life. Everybody says, there's no freebies. This is free. It doesn't cost you nothing to subscribe. So make sure you do that. And we will talk to you guys again on Thursday. Peace out, everybody.